So I have a story I want to share with you, but first I want to start with a question. Have you ever just wanted to get up and walk out on everything? Your job or your life as it exists today? Well, I wanted to a few years ago. I had this desire to travel, and I wanted to find new life experiences, and I wasn't exactly happy with where I was. Now, I had all the marks of being successful. I had the job as a personal trainer. I had the girlfriend, the car, the house, and the dog. But I was really unhappy with that current position. And I was living this agenda that I didn't feel that I necessarily created. And I needed something different. I needed that change. So I love meeting people and camping and hiking. I'm a long-distance athlete and an outdoorsman. And I wanted to find a way to give back to my community. But it couldn't be for selfish reasons. I was going to find a way to do something creative and not make it about myself. So I had this brilliant idea that I'm going to walk across the United States of America. Some people want to backpack across Europe, some people want to skydive. This was my goal. But for whom and for what? As a Penn State student, I always regretted not having participated in the Penn State Student Dance Marathon, which supports childhood cancer and research. I was too busy doing other things. So postgraduate, I'm in this career, I'm a little unhappy with where I am, and now I'm about to embark on this journey that's going to take roughly 7 or 8 months. So I needed to educate myself on the matter, on this disease. So I started to volunteer at organizations, specifically the Hershey Children's Hospital. I would go there and participate in the music therapy classes. I even played video games with some of the children. We shared some laughs. They always beat me in these games. It was great. But I got a little taste of who they are and their families and where they come from and the difficult times and the hardships they were going through. This sat pretty heavy on me. And it was that day that I decided that it was clear. This is what I wanted to do, and this is how I was going to give back. I was going to walk across the country for children with cancer. I needed to prepare for this. So I started talking to my personal training clients. I started talking to my friends and my family. I hooked up with local organizations for ideas. One in particular out of Phoenixville helped me develop an idea that I could get people to walk with me. We would count our steps for cancer. So we got pedometers to count those steps, and we all wore gold shoelaces that represented the gold ribbon to support children with cancer. And collectively, we would all, for 2 reasons, be successful. One of those reasons was as a health benefit. After all, I am a personal trainer. Second of all, we were going to raise awareness. And that was a #1 priority. So this idea carried out large groups of people across the country. There were participants in North Carolina, Minnesota, and Texas, mostly from this area, but it was wonderful. Then I had a second idea. If I could publish a coloring book to help with this awareness effort. I had kids from an art class at the Phoenixville High School illustrate a coloring book that would tell the story of what I was about to embark on. It would educate people on childhood cancer. And on the back page of this book, there was a perforated postcard that then kids who read this book and colored this book, adults as well, could write notes and mail them to other kids who were struggling in hospitals. And it was a way to connect people like I could have never imagined. So then I needed to gain speed. This idea was going to be really big. And if anybody knows me, I like to be the center of attention, and I like to grow things even beyond what I think they can be. So then I received a phone call where somebody wanted to develop a website for me. Well, I had to take donations. This was perfect. And I had a gentleman from a PR company in New York City get a hold of me to help me with media relations. I had a company out of King of Prussia give me laser eye surgery for free so I wouldn't have to wear contacts and have my dirty fingers in my eyes while I was hiking. All these things were opportunities to make this easier for me so that I could focus on that awareness issue. This is the summer of 2013, and I know I'm sitting on a 7 or 8 month journey, and I have about 11 months to prepare for day one on April 5th, 2014. And in those months, I had to realize that I had to give up a lot of my comfort zone and these securities that I had. The things I told you I was uncomfortable with were the things that also made me comfortable. I had the house that I had to rent out, give my car away. Someone else was going to take my dog. I had to leave my friends and my family for an extended period of time and then move to California and start preparation. I hiked and I exercised and I trained my body for those 10 or 11 months. I solicited corporations for sponsorships. I wrote grants. I had to develop a 501c3 so that those donations I took online were legitimate. So this 10-month period flies by, and all of a sudden it's day one, and I'm in San Francisco. And I'm with my cousin, and we're at a local TV station taking photographs outside, when a producer, who happens to be from Philadelphia, comes out the door, photobombs one of our photos, introduces herself to me, and asks me what I'm doing. I explain the whole event. I'm about to leave on a journey across the United States on foot to tell people about the funding and research needs for childhood cancer. She immediately was enamored by this idea, and I was in on the morning show minutes later. Following this interview, I worked my way down to the beach where I was going to shave my head in honor of those who go through chemotherapy. This is how I wanted to start my journey. This is how I was going to give back. I had a few people that met me down on the beach to send me off, and it was fantastic. However, with all the logistics that were involved and everything I had to do to prepare for this journey, I forgot one thing: where I was going on day one. I'm going east, right? I have 3,300 miles to go, but where was I going to sleep? So as I'm hiking through the city of San Francisco, I'm making phone calls, trying to figure out where I'm going to go. I have a backpack and I'm prepared, but I'm still in the city. So I found a friend in Oakland, spent the night, continued on from there. I had to go through the hills of Berkeley, up through Sacramento, through the Sierra Nevada mountains, around Lake Tahoe, and into Carson City, Nevada. Nothing was all that difficult up to this point. Well, now I'm smack dead facing the desert. And then I realized that I needed to make a couple changes to make this trip a little bit safer. I bought a jogging stroller for 2 children so I could carry extra food and water. The towns were more than 100 miles apart, but there was also weather that I didn't account for. I'm on the loneliest road in America, and a storm starts to set in. I have 3 days to get to Austin, Nevada, and it starts to rain. There's temperatures as high as 40 and as low as 8 degrees. For those 2 nights, the 3 days and 2 nights, I didn't sleep a wink. I laid in my tent, borderline hypothermic, and I would get out of my tent, stripped down, wearing nothing but a trash bag, and do squats or push-ups. I wanted to keep my clothes and every other item I had dry, and I had to keep my heart rate up. I was afraid, literally, if I went to sleep, I wouldn't wake up. It was that cold. My socks had literally frozen solid by morning. But I had to continue. I was only sleeping in a 1-person bivvy. It was not all that efficient, even though it was waterproof. So I had to continue on my way. I get to Austin, Nevada. I'm beaten, I'm battered. And I broke into a women's room of an RV lot. I needed a roof over my head, 4 walls, and a place to collect my thoughts. It wasn't ideal, but nobody was there, and it worked. So I got a lot of sleep that night. I had running water and a shower. There was a couple cockroaches, but it comes with the territory. The next morning, I walk back down the hill to restock my gear. I'm exhausted. I'm thinking about whether I can actually continue. And I go to the gas station to refill my food and my water. Well, they only had candy bars, ramen noodles, and expired Pop-Tarts. This was not the nutrition I was going to need to make this successful. I was walking 25 miles every single day. So I crossed the street into the single-room laundromat that they have that construction workers would use as they're traveling through this small town. And I don't have soap. So I'm literally just washing my clothes in the spin cycle with just water, but that was how I got the dirt out. I'm sitting there waiting, and I get a phone call from a retired police officer in Reno, Nevada. He tells me he hasn't seen me post on social media in a few days. Well, I hadn't had reception for the previous 3. The storm had basically knocked out any reception that I was able to get prior to that. And he's talking to me, and he's concerned. Maybe it was his natural instincts as a police officer, but he said, I'm going to come pick you up. This isn't the end of your journey, but I'm going to bring you back to Reno, and you're going to recollect your thoughts. So he comes, and he picks me up, a 3.5-hour drive. Drives me back, him and his wife. They give me a couple warm meals, a place to sleep. The dog slept with me, too. It was a comfortable night's sleep. They took me out to an outdoor store and helped me buy new gear, better gear, so that I could go back. Drove me 3.5 hours back to Austin. Dropped me off at that laundromat that he picked me up. Said goodbye. I still talk to him today. He's a great friend of mine now. And I was ready to continue. I'm feeling a little bit better about myself, and I got everything east of me ahead. A couple thousand miles to go yet. So I continue. Not 3 days later am I camping behind this 10-foot high, 30-foot long sagebrush in my little tent that I have. And about 2 o'clock in the morning, I start to hear this snarling, some heavy breathing. It was a coyote. So I'm laying on my back inside my tent. Well, it wasn't one, it was 10 or 12. They're touching me, they're sniffing me. A couple hours later, they're literally laying against my body. I'm laying with a hunting knife and bear spray against my chest, fearful for my life. Well, when the sun came up and I was able to start moving again, they had left. Thank goodness. So I get out and start to clean my campsite up. A truck pulls off the side of the road on the other side of this sagebrush that I was camping behind. I can see it, and the gentleman that gets out of the passenger seat, he can't see me, but he starts to relieve himself on the side of the road. It's 100 miles between towns. You gotta go, you gotta go. The driver then gets out of the car, the truck, stands on the back tire up against the bed of his truck and yells, "Norman!" That's my name, by the way. Sat up straight, scared to death. My knife and my bear spray are still next to me from the most fearful 12 hours I've had yet. And I'm just trying to make a decision. What do? I crawled down to my cart, which was about 30 feet away, my stroller, and I had to make a decision. I'm either going to wait and keep my mouth shut, and he's going to find me on the road later, or I'm going to introduce myself and find out if this is an emergency, he's looking for me, or this is the end. So I come out behind the bush and I introduce myself. "Excuse me, how can I help you?" He falls off his truck, stumbles in the road, stands up. "What the heck are you doing back there?" Well, I slowly start to inch my way towards him and him towards me. And he's got this look, this befuddled look on his face. And I said, "Hey, excuse me, I'm just on this adventure. This is a fundraiser. I know it sounds crazy, but I mean no harm." And he has no idea what's going on, and he's a little bit fearful that I'm there. So I said, "I'm sorry. My name's Norman, and I'm just trying to figure out what's going on here and ask why you're screaming my name." So he says, "Oh, I get it. I apologize. I live in a ranch 20 miles down the road, and I'm looking for my sheepdog named Norman. What are the chances of this happening? I don't even have that common of a name." So we have a good laugh. His name was Ben. We chuckled for a while, and I continued on my way. These things happened on a regular basis. So now I got to continue. I'm going through Kansas. I got Missouri ahead of me, Illinois, and I get to Indianapolis, Indiana, where I meet the Parker family. The Parker family invites me in. It's Tatum's 14th birthday. She's a 2-time cancer survivor at her young age. We celebrate. I meet a lot of her friends. And then at the end of the night, she hands me all the birthday money and said, "This is for your cause." This girl, has life experiences that most of us won't go through, and especially at that young age. She made me realize that there was nothing I could subject myself to during this trip that would ever be as hard as living with childhood cancer for the child and the family. So I move on from Indianapolis. This was a very tearful and heartwarming experience for me. I have to continue, though. Ohio, Pennsylvania. I got to throw the first pitch out at a Pirates game, go to New Jersey, and I end in Atlantic City. This is every night that I had been out on the road. So remember all those people that were walking with me virtually? We were sharing messages on social media. We were doing this again to raise awareness for cancer. 16,000 kids are diagnosed every year. 1 in 5 will not survive. This impact was pretty large, and we were all proud of ourselves. So during this entire journey, I spent 191 days, 101 inside, 89 outside, walking 25.3 miles a day. And I want you to leave today remembering 3 things. 1, be inspired, because generosity is absolutely contagious. 2, I'm not asking you to walk across the country. That is ridiculous. And 3, what is your platform? Everybody has one. Tatum's was her life experiences. What are your life experiences? Is it your financial situation, an interest, a hobby like mine, being an outdoorsman? I figured out what I wanted to do. It changed my entire life. So before you leave today, remember those 3 things, but realize that all of you have the capacity and the opportunity to make a difference.